Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Tougies Take podcast. I can't feel half of my face because I'm fresh off of a trip to the dentist.
And I'm Endo Mills. How's it going?
And Endo's here with me to help carry the show for as long as it lasts, because Endo, as we talked about just a few moments ago, boy, I got a feeling once this wears off, I'm going to be in for a world of hurt. So this show could be 20 minutes. This show could be an hour and a half. Who knows?
Definitely. It's like a ticking timer. You never know. It's literally RNG. Like, we're just RNGing this podcast today because we have a lot to talk about.
We do. It was a very, very busy weekend in the world of hockey. We're going to talk about kind of this, that, and everything that happened to go down. And we will get right down to business on today's show because, again, who knows how long it will last, basically. A friendly reminder, as always, though, right off the top, this show is brought to you by our friends at Manscaped. You can use code Tougie at checkout for 20% off your order and free worldwide shipping. Again, that is code Tougie at manscaped.com. Whatever you need, they got you covered in the world of grooming. It doesn't matter if you need the lovely shampoo and body wash. It does not matter if you need circular deodorant. It does not matter if you need a nose or ear hair trimmer. If you need to shave your nuts, they got you covered for whatever you need. Code Tougie, Manscaped. 20% off, free worldwide shipping. Thank you, Manscaped. I know this might be the most unfortunate transition we ever have to make.
Yeah, I was about to make a joke, like, you nuts, you bush, and you tush, like, that kind of thing. Unfortunately, I have to transition into it. Yeah.
So, we didn't have time to add viewer questions today, because, again, I literally just got back from the damn dentist and had to kind of compile what we were going to talk about today. And yeah, the biggest story in the hockey world, there's no great way to transition off of talking about a male grooming product to the passing of to someone's death. But the biggest story last night, Monday night at about 11 p.m. Eastern on the dot, the word came down that the owner of the Ottawa Senators, Eugene Melnyk, had passed away at the age of 62 due to an undisclosed illness. Now, I mean, obviously, the best way I could think to sum it up on Twitter was this. It is incredibly unfortunate to hear of his passing, but the first thing that comes to mind is immediately his complicated legacy. Now, I will say, on this show today, talking about, what's the future of the Sens? Will they be good now? I think that's crossing a line. Trying to question, what might it have been that caused his death? That's crossing a line. But at the same time, while we are going to talk about the positives from Eugene Melnyk's life and his time as the owner of the Ottawa Senators, it wouldn't be doing his legacy justice in terms of not talking about the negative. Because, Endo, 24 hours ago, if I asked you about Eugene Melnyk, there's a real good chance your answer wouldn't have been all that positive. It would have just been like, it's kind of a bad owner, or this story, that story. And now all of a sudden it's like, well, he died, so we can't talk about that. I don't believe in that. And I'm not comparing him to this person and what this person did, but it's the same idea of, say, someone like Chris Brown. When he passes away, are we just never going to talk about the Rihanna stuff again? No, that's a part of his legacy. It is. It flat out is, and that will be a part of the conversation. I don't think you can talk about Eugene Melnyk and his life without mentioning some of the negative.
Yeah, I completely agree. They do say not to speak ill on the dead. Typically right now it's a grieving period as well, but you have to take into account both sides of everything. You can criticize someone's actions and not be discriminatory. You can say that he has done good things and he has done bad things. This applies to everybody. Everyone's has good stuff, and everyone has their own demons that they're either fighting or they've had done. I feel like it is still fair to criticize someone, but as long as it is constructive. I'm very, very open to the idea of being constructive criticism. You could say Eugene Melnyk was very stingy in certain operations, not willing to pay players, but you could say he did have a heart of gold and he did whatever he could for that organization during his time of being here. Like, everyone has their own ideals and views, right? So that's the way I roll.
And that's why first, I wanted to talk about the positives, because his legacy isn't entirely negative. you look at a lot of billionaires in this world, and I don't know how many of them do give back to the extent that Eugene Melnyk did. He is the reason why the Ottawa Senators still exist. That is just a fact. There is a very, very good chance that had he not bought the team in the summer of 2003, that they would have been moved, because that team was facing bankruptcy and, yeah, very much could have ended up being moved. I do know of at least one guy, it's mentioned on Wikipedia, but in terms of, who could have bought the team, who could have purchased the team, they easily could have been moved had it not been Eugene Melnyk, and he was the one to keep them there. And in his time as the owner of this team, they went to the 2007 Stanley Cup final. They, had some up and down periods of being competitive. Obviously, it wasn't all that long ago. I mean, 5 years ago now, but still, they went to the Eastern Conference final, almost made their way to the final over Pittsburgh, and who knows what would have happened there. And honestly, when I think of the Sens and when I think of, Eugene Melnyk, you can literally look. I mean, the stories are out there about his philanthropic endeavors. I mean, literally, there's a section of his Wikipedia page that mentions a lot, and rightfully so. Just one of them donated $1 million to the Belmont Child Care Association for the construction of a child care center at Belmont Park called Anna House. Just that idea of giving back, and he was a director of a humanitarian organization that helped children in orphanages, for God's sakes. And then I think of something that was a little bit more publicized, and just how kind the Senators organization was to Jonathan Petra and his family. Because that story was very much out there before his extremely unfortunate passing, I think 4 years ago now. When I think of the positives, that's what I think of. I don't think anybody can attempt to take away from the fact that Eugene Melnyk was a very charitable person who did give back. I think trying to downplay that would make you look rather foolish. The positive sides to him are certainly out there and well established.
Yeah, you see the work that he's done. Not only is just being the owner of the Ottawa Senators, but the philanthropy and stuff he's doing to give back. That's something that, like you said before, not a lot of people in that monetary bracket do that kind of stuff, or if they do, not to the same extent that he has. I mean, 62 is a very young age for the pass at, and considering what he's stuffed and he's done already in his 62 years, imagine what he could have done even more. And this team was also on the up and up as well too, because how many prospects they had coming through, contracts being signed. It's rather unfortunate, and for better or for worse of his actions, he will always have a space. He will always have a space in not only just the Ottawa Senators, but just the NHL in general.
And there's been a lot of players, current and former, coming out and telling stories. I mean, Pierre Dorian spoke about him earlier today. Brady Tkachuk spoke about him. Even Erik Karlsson mentioning that while he and Eugene never had a conversation after he was traded to San Jose, that Melnyk still sent he and his wife flowers after their kids were born. So, I mean, it's the little things like that. Again, there is the negative side, and we'll touch up on that here in a moment. But, I agree with the statement that in the majority of times, it's not just a black or white situation. You can't necessarily paint people with broad strokes. That said, and it's an entirely different conversation, can people do certain things that maybe just kind of push you towards filing someone in that situation? Sure. And there might be Sens fans to be like, well, look at the negative. And, prior to his passing, that's a conversation that I think a lot of people would have heard of. Yes, he's done this, this, and this, but there's also that. It's the duality of man, I do suppose. But there is a lot of positive to go off when it comes to Eugene Melnyk's legacy. And then you get to the flip side. This is a man that had a very contentious relationship in the last couple years with the city of Ottawa, with Senators fans directly, with the media. I don't know how many NHL owners. I think the quote was from around 2009. A reporter asked him about rebuilding the team, and the quote was something along the lines of, anyone who thinks that I should rebuild this team should blow themselves up. Pretty sure that was the quote that was out there around 2009, and you could sit there and say, well, hey, how serious was he? But at the same time, you are the owner of a professional sports franchise, probably crossing the line on that. He would often call out reporters. I think Ian Mendes was often at the brunt of his aggressions towards the media, especially around 2015 and onward, where there were so many calls for sell the team, sell the team, sell the team. So many moments of him essentially threatening to move the team. And a lot of Sens fans feeling hard-pressed by the fact that this was a man that was in need for a liver transplant, and a Sens fan stepped up in 2015 and helped him get this liver transplant.
Right.
And still in the following years, well, I might move the team. Like, how many moments were there on Hockey Night in Canada? There was the Heritage game, right? The outdoor game where he essentially was like, oh, we might move the team. Like, it was very, very contentious for Sens fans, which I think leads to, I mean, God, dude, there was crowdfunding for billboards to be put up by Sens fans to try and get him to sell the team. There was that super weird video with, like, here's Mark Borowiecki, and we're trying to win Sens. Like, contentious is the only word that comes to mind. And like I said, I don't think that stuff can necessarily, you could argue too soon to talk about it, but that was Eugene Melnyk. It's the same thing of, like, I don't think you can just talk about the positives. I think you'd be making a mistake if you weren't to mention any of the positives, because there certainly were positives. But at the same side of the coin, you're not doing the man's legacy justice. I mean, you presume he was okay with his legacy being what it was because he lived the life that he did, and he led the Senators as the owner of that franchise in the way that he did. So it's shocking. It's incredibly sad. And he does leave behind, I've used the word a lot and I'll use it again, he does leave behind a very interesting, a very complicated legacy. But I think off of how he owned the Sens, he ran that team with the intent of making an impact on the hockey world. And in his passing, for better or worse, depending on the conversation, he did that.
Yeah. This really makes you think about all the memes that I remember Utree made a video about, like, the we're a team video and how that team had to, like, rebuild and do all that stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And, like, you see the actions that he's done there, but again, we go back to his humanitarian aspects, and, like, does that really take away from what he's done? He may not have been, like, the greatest owner in the world, but he's, at the end of the day, he's still human. And I think one of the things as well that people need to understand is these people that you belittle on social media and everything, they're still people at the end of the day. And they have feelings, they have all this stuff. I'm not saying to, like, soften up, be just coddle everybody, but I'm saying, like, think twice before you say something bad about someone, because you never know what they're going to go through or what they have going on by themselves. I'm fair to basically critique him on his actions for how he ran the organization, but for him as a person with his morals and everything, I think it's out of line a little bit. Yeah,
like I said, I can understand some people having that mindset of, like, okay, is it the right time to talk about it? But you talk about the man's life, and you got to look at all aspects of it. And I think you're right. Like, it's one of those things now that we're all kind of out of the moment of focusing on bad sports owner. And you start to think, like, okay, well, he did save the team. Mm-hmm. He did do so much within the within Ottawa, even the province of Ontario in general. Like he did a lot. He did a lot, and I'll sum it up because it's such a tough situation to sit here and essentially have to eulogize somebody that was such a prominent figure within hockey, but he leaves a legacy is the best way to put it, and it's sad. It's very, very sad to hear of his passing. I don't think barring a few crazies out there, I don't think any Sens fan would have been like, okay, yeah, I want to change in ownership. I didn't want the man to have to pass away to get a potential change in direction.
Right.
So, obviously it's customary, it's standard, but genuinely, like, to his family, his friends, anybody impacted by this, and that's the thing. There's a lot of people that were impacted in a positive way because Eugene Melnyk had the platform that he did and accomplished what he did in his life. So we'll leave it at that. And we'll talk about some of the things that happened in the hockey world over the course of course, this past Friday, all the way up until Monday night. And on Monday night, Mr. Rendo Mills, the PHF held their finals, aired on ESPN2 here in the United States, where the Boston Pride, oh no, my jersey's stuck on a hanger. No, come here. There we go. We are doing this for those on the video portion of this show.
Love it.
The Boston Pride won their second consecutive Isobel Cup because the city of Boston and all of New England had such a drought going for professional sports championships that it's about damn time. So shout out to the Pride for winning their second consecutive title, again, beating the Connecticut Whale. That said, I heard a lot of people just being like, man, I barely saw this advertised. And I'm just
It was not advertised at all. And the other thing, too, is World Hockey Report on Twitter mentioned this, and I want to talk about it because it's actually really interesting. They said the best way for you to advertise your hockey league is to not have them play their final in a community rink. Now, here's the thing about this. One, it seems like a backhanded compliment, but two is you are the PHF. You're trying to reach out and branch out and advertise this more than you can of anything. This is the biggest event in women's hockey in North America, if not the world. You have to put on a spectacle for this. I can go look at the PHWPA, who were having single exhibition games inside of Madison Square Garden, over bigger NHL sized arenas. And their biggest thing was getting them into a community size rink. Maybe that's a budgeting thing, I don't know, but personally, if you're gonna have the biggest stage for these girls to play on, these women to play on, and they should be at the biggest event possible. Maybe this wasn't in the plans originally, but there has to be some sort of workaround for them to go to do something with it, because I know they had I think it was either PHF or PHWPA had an outdoor game at I think it was the day before the Heritage Classic when it was Toronto against the Buffalo, and Toronto got their ass kicked. I believe it was the PHF because a good friend of mine, Tara Hoffman, who plays goalie for the Toronto Six, I believe she posted a setup of her playing outside with a toque on her helmet and everything at the arena. So I think it was the PHF. But you have to market that better. It's the biggest, grandest event. Whether it's paying even more for sponsorships or paying even more for advertising or getting a bigger arena. You got to do something with that. I believe the game was also broadcasted on Twitch. I'm not really sure, but they do have that deal with Twitch to broadcast some games on that platform as well. Maybe that would have done a little bit better to have an option with ESPN and Twitch. Maybe that was the case. I'm not really sure exactly on the whole thing. But playing your biggest event in a community-sized arena, there are junior level players who are playing major junior who sell it more than that. There are fucking what's it called? Junior C arenas fill out more than that. Yeah. Do you see what I kind of mean?
If your rink looks like an EASHL starter rink on a national broadcast, it's a rough look.
Yeah.
At the same time, the on-ice product is solid, despite, of course, missing half of the best players in the world, who are with the Players Association, of course. It's it's a step, but at the same time, you see certain aspects that are missing, and you're just like, it's just not where you think it could be at this stage. And of course, we talked about it a few weeks ago, the idea of like, okay, the PHF and the PWHPA are going to meet and apparently try to talk things out. The NHL continue to try to push these two sides to be like, please come to an agreement, please. And yeah, you look at a moment like this, and again, the on-ice product is great. I'm personally very happy with the result. I have another championship T-shirt to order after last year's. Hooray! Yeah, it's not the best look for the PHF, and at the same time, I sit here and wonder. It's completely off topic. The PHF name, I still think was just a horrible decision.
Yeah, I don't like it either. I don't like it at all. I don't like the change. And like their socials didn't move over the PHF. I think that their Instagram is still NWHL Zone. Like I'm not really sure what's going on with that, with the whole rebrand. Like either that, it took a really, really long time for things to switch over. Like
yeah, the Twitter's been switched over at the very least. But
yeah,
like I said, I understand and respect the idea of being like, oh hey, you don't have to have women's league in the title to know it's a women's league. But at the same time, it's worked out for the WNBA.
Yep.
Like, why not take these cues from a successful league that's in the same market that you are in terms of marketing women's sports? But yeah, again, like it's the on-ice product is the least of the concerns. Shout out to Katie Burt for the Pride, who was incredible, but. Yeah, just man, I don't know. On one hand, you're like, okay, this is awesome, but on the other side of things, I can't. It's kind of the conversation that we just had. Look at the positives of the situation, but the negatives of the situation also really stand out.
I completely agree. I just saw something break on Twitter. I think we're going to talk about it on Friday when more of it comes out. Can I talk about it briefly by Rick Westhead?
I know exactly where you're going to go about it, and we'll hold off until Friday, I think, because it is still kind of breaking at this point.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to mention the fact that the Bruins and the Leafs are about to drop the puck here in a few minutes. And
that is. I just saw that. You know what's funny? I was right on top of the post as well. But yeah.
We'll move on. We'll move on. But again, definitely wanted to mention that kind of towards the top of the show in one of our bigger stories, because it was. And again, if you missed it, try to get more involved. Put in that effort to follow the league. And again, try to get this. Do what you can as a fan of the sport to try and get this league to where it's got to be. Even if it is ordering a jersey, which, yes, like I did. That NWHL logo's out of date already. But you know what? Still love this jersey. Still love the Pride.
Didn't they change their logo and everything like mid-season?
I honestly don't remember.
I think it was like mid-season. Like, yeah, we're the PHF. Everyone went, okay. But the one thing that is cool, that they do have trading cards now. I think it's through Upper Deck. That is actually pretty sick. I'm going to go get Tara to sign a few of them. So that way when she wins a Isobel Cup, I can just like sell them off real quick.
I don't know. The past year or so of the PHF, it's just been very, very bizarre.
Yeah, especially with the commissioner just kind of going, yeah, I'm out, peace. Maybe that was part of the reason why with the arena and everything. Because like Heritage Game, beautiful. But again, you can't. I mean, you can, but I think it would look better if, their big event at least was not in the community size arena. Just my hot take.
Yeah. We'll move on to talking about what was day one of the NHL GM meetings, and we'll kick things off with this kind of pair of conversations here. Alan Walsh mentioned on Twitter, of course, he is an agent and also has his own podcast, so I've heard. Heard the NHL's consistently horrible officiating and egregiously missed calls were a, quote, hot topic at day one of the NHL GM meetings today. The NHL kicked off the discussion by reminding GMs that anyone who publicly criticizes the officiating will be severely fined.
That's when you know they know it's an issue without having you to say at all. It's like, hey, listen, we know, okay? Zip it. Zilch to the zero.
To the point where Kyle Dubas was asked about it at a press conference earlier today, and he essentially just smiles. He was asked about the standard of officiating in the league, and he just basically smiled. He's like, everything's great with the officiating.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Because he can't say anything.
Yeah.
You can't, you're literally not allowed to criticize the officiating.
1984. You can't speak. Censorship.
God, man, I don't even know. It's like, obviously, like you said, the NHL knows it's a problem, clearly. Thank God. At least they're not so head in the sand that they don't understand that it's a massive, massive issue. At the same time, I get their viewpoint of like, okay, we don't need our GMs and coaches reminding everyone how bad it is. But at the same time, severely fined if you publicly criticize the officiating is just hilarious.
Say what
it is.
Max allowable under the current CBA. Come on.
Pretty much. As well, Pierre LeBrun tweeted this out. GMs have officially been told by the league that the salary cap is going up by $1 million to 82.5 for next season. So again, anybody that had these massive hopes of them being on the trajectory that they were prior to the pandemic, I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. Again, we all kind of knew this. NHL owners took a pretty big financial hit to keep the league up and running during the pandemic, and they want to recoup, and they will.
You know what this means? The Leafs can pay Spezza $1 million for another year, baby. Another year of Jason Spezza and his fucking weird laugh. Oh, man.
This was from Frank Saravalli as well, if I'm not mistaken. The NHL reiterated that the projection is the $1 billion debt held by the players will be repaid to the owners by the end of the 2024-2025 season. So, again, if the players pay off that debt that they incurred essentially to allow the league to play, 2025-2026 will be the first season that the salary cap could rise significantly, as again was projected before the pandemic. Which is very interesting because right now, currently projected UFAs for that offseason, Mitch Marner, Leon Draisaitl, Mikko Rantanen, Aaron Ekblad, Nikolai Ehlers, Victor Hedman, Igor Shesterkin, Jacob Chikrin. There are some people who are going to get fucking paid in 4 years' time if this projection holds and they get back on track towards being able to raise the salary cap.
When does McDavid's contract go up?
If you ask him, the answer's not soon enough.
Oh my god. Poor guy. I was looking at some of the analytics from The Athletic today, and they're showing that like right now Austin Matthews, not to be a Leaf homer right now, but they're saying that like Austin Matthews is like outperforming Connor McDavid, which is it's not really that hard when Connor McDavid isn't that good defensively. He's not like bad. But he's like, like they're saying, like on his like trajectory, is like star, like everything is like star level, and everything on like McDavid's is like star level, except for defensively, it's just like mid. Yeah, it's crazy.
But if Austin Matthews has as good of a higher rating than Connor McDavid, I'm a Leafs fan, as I've learned from my comment section apparently. In terms of NHL 22, worth noting, Connor McDavid's deal ends the year after Leon Draisaitl's. So, yeah, he'd also be kind of in that window of getting paid a lot. And as well, two other notes here. Bill Daly, this is from Frank Saravalli. Bill Daly says the NHL is drafting an agreement with the NHLPA to create a database between the league's central registry and the union for no trade list to be filed in an effort to avoid a future situation that unfolded with Evgeny Dadonov last week. How is that not already a thing? How? Like it defies logic.
I don't understand it anymore. This is proof that like no matter your credentials or whatever you have, you could make it big and completely overlook something like this. This is like come on, man. Like, how do you not use Cap Friendly? How do you not use General Manager or any other stuff that's already available to the public? Like, come on.
I honestly...
Are they going to get rid of, like, the calling in kind of thing? Is it going to be, like, through email or whatever the fuck? Or, I don't know, they have a whole thing where the GMs have to be present at a meeting, like, kind of like what they're doing right now, and then they discuss that way? Like, I would be fine with that. Imagine they make this a televised event and where all the GMs go like in, I don't know, some sort of like cafe or whatever, they rent it out and they're all sitting down with their lattes and overly expressive like pumpkin spices or whatever the fuck they drink. I don't know. And they just kind of chill. They're like, all right, yo, give me fucking Rantanen for like 2 firsts and like your mom's like breast batch baked the cookies. Like, all right, cool. And they shake on it and they sign off on it in person. That way you could avoid this kind of thing. Or, I don't know, use stuff that's already available. Just a thought. You want to make money? This is how you make money. Get TV. Come on.
I know Mills ranting away. I like to see it. The final thing that was mentioned as well from Pierre LeBrun, Bill Daly, also says the next World Cup of Hockey, which is scheduled for 2024, won't have a team North America nor a team Europe. The event will go back to a traditional field with countries only.
So Belarus is going to have like 3 people?
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see how they bring in... I'm intrigued to see how they bring in certain people. At the same time, I'm almost okay with there not being an under-23 team because, I mean, come on. Like, what are the odds you have players the caliber of, like, Matthews and McDavid on the same team at the same time to really kind of make that team that much more interesting?
Okay, but hear me out. That goal by Nathan McKinnon, that whole play with the save by Gibson, and the play up there by absolutely deking the crap out of Henrik Lundqvist, he got embarrassed so hard. Like, he almost made me forget that he was a part of that fucking, what's the franchise? The Rangers. Like, that embarrassment right there was like, you literally cannot help this guy out. Granted, like, they ended up moving on, I think, because of points and all that system, but that was arguably the greatest moment in World Cup of Hockey history. I don't care what could happen. Someone could hit the fucking Michigan in the next one that's upcoming. I don't care. This is the most iconic moment ever. Done.
I mean, I enjoyed the tournament for what it was at the very least. I think it'll kind of still, be a stable part of hockey lore. At the end of the day, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I really give a shit about the World Cup of Hockey.
Yeah.
Like, it's a fun thing. It's pretty much where you leave it. It's just a fun thing that they do when they don't go to the Olympics.
It'd be really cool if it replaced the preseason. Like, if it was like, if you get picked to select, you can do the preseason for there. If you don't, you do the regular preseason games like training camp and all that. Like, it'd be really cool to have an extra dynamic.
At the same time, I think I don't think teams would go for it because star players are risking injury, and then obviously you don't get the stories of random dudes making it out of camp that could make it otherwise. So
fair enough.
It's a weird spot to be in with that particular tournament, but hey, they are planning on bringing it back. So I'm sure there'll be more news throughout the weeks from these meetings, but already quite a bit to talk about. From there, just some random stuff that happened over the weekend to kind of round out this particular show. Wanted to mention the Minnesota Wild. Marc-Andre Fleury got his first win for the team, but he also pretty much confirmed that the Washington Capitals were interested and that he refused to go solely because he didn't want to play for a Penguins rival, which, again, I still think is exactly what happened with Claude Giroux not wanting to go to Boston or to the New York Rangers.
Yeah, it shows you the loyalty that Fleury has for not only just the Penguins. They gave him a shot. Like, originally, they drafted him, they brought him up, and were like, you're gonna be our guy. And then I really don't think the Penguins wanted to lose Fleury at all. But I guess it just kind of had to happen. Like, you had Matt Murray ready to go, Tristan Dyer was ready to go, but at the end of the day, that's what happens. It's big loyalty. People are already saying that Fleury's number deserves to be retired on the rafters for that comment. Maybe. I don't know. He's won 3 cups.
Oh, he'll have his number retired.
Yeah, he'll
sure.
regardless, he's gonna be a legend there, if not gonna be in the Hockey Hall of Fame, because amazing career.
Also, the Wild themselves played a pretty damn good game against Colorado. It's pretty much impossible for them to meet in round 1, but hopefully we get a playoff series between those two teams. That'd be amazing. And Kirill Kaprizov became just the second player in Wild history to score 80 points in a season. Marian Gaborik was the other one, 83 points in 07-08. So Kaprizov this season, barring injury, will set the record for most points in a season as a member of the Minnesota Wild. Nobody over that 83 point mark in their team history. It's kind of crazy, kind of like the Nashville thing That's one of the other stats that are out there towards the towards the bottom of our run sheet here that was mentioned that Roman Josi became just the second player in Preds history to record at least 80 points in the season, joining Paul Kariya, who had 85 points in 05-06.
Makes you think
Minnesota and Nashville, what the hell have they been doing this whole time?
Yeah, it makes you think that both of those teams haven't really had a standout like forward. Well, Minnesota's always had kind of like there's like always like a few guys, like it was like Zach Parise and like Brian Suter, and now they're gonna have like the key like star player. For example, with Nashville, their star players in Pekka Rinne. And like Roman
Pekka Rinne, Shea Weber.
Yeah.
Like their star forward for for years and years and years. It was like David Legwand, for God's sake.
I thought you were gonna say Rocco Grimaldi. I mean, like, yeah, sure.
Dude, David Legwand to this day is still the all-time leading scorer on that team. Roman Josi will pass him next season.
Yeah.
Like, but even third, do you know? Okay, here we go. Why not? Top 10 all-time scorers for the Preds. It's hilarious. You have 4 defensemen in the top 10.
What?
Yes. So number 1 is David Legwand with 566 points.
Right.
Yosi's second at 527. Then in third, you care to guess who's third all time in Preds scoring?
Fucking Philip Forsberg. I don't know.
No, he's fourth though. So good work. He's fourth already.
Shea Weber.
Shea Weber's fifth. So not bad.
I don't know. Fucking
think meme.
Think meme. Was he traded a lot?
He was traded once for a player you already mentioned.
I was gonna say Valtteri Fibula. I don't know why I was gonna say Fibula.
No.
No.
Martin Erat, who was traded for Philip Forsberg. Yeah, he's third all time in Preds scoring still. Sixth is current Bruin Craig Smith. Seventh, Ryan Johansson is seventh all time in scoring for the Preds already.
That's ridiculous.
Then you have Kimmo Timonen, Ryan Ellis, and rounding out the top 10 is J.P. Dumont.
What a weird list. I mean, it is kind of like, it's still like a new franchise, technically.
They've been around for, what, almost 25 years.
Yeah, more than I've been around. Jeez.
And then Minnesota, I had to look at their top 10, too, to prove your point. Mikko Koivu, first all time.
Right.
We knew that. Of course, just had his number retired a few weeks ago. Then Gaborik, Parise, Suter. At fifth, it's Pierre-Marc Bouchard, who was a video game goat for years and years and years. Yeah. Jared Spurgeon, Andrew Brunette, Mikhail Granlund. I don't even really he played 461 games for the Wild. I barely remember him there because he just moved on recently. Yeah. Jason Zucker and Charlie Coyle. 11th is Eric Stahl. It's one of those things that's like, what the hell were these teams doing for so many years? Just weird stuff, man.
Makes no sense. And yeah, the puck did drop for the Leaf Bruins game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm keeping an eye on it. Other random tidbits. Shout out to Vladimir Tarasenko, 500th career NHL point, hit 500 points in 589 games, which is impressive because his shoulder is like full on Terminator, it's just fully robotic at this point. But the Blues are currently in a playoff spot and have a decent chance of making the postseason. Whereas Montreal does not. They became the first team officially eliminated from playoff contention. The Coyotes are out. I think the Kraken are out. The Flyers, if they lose to Minnesota tonight, will also officially be out. So we are getting to that point where you're getting the confirmation of who's not going to be there, and these teams lining up for the top draft rights, the number 1 pick. Who will successfully tank for Shane Wright? We'll find out very soon.
Yep.
The Vegas Golden Knights beat the Chicago hockey team after coming back from 3-0 down in the third period. Evgeny Dadonov, it was the first ever 3-0 comeback for the Vegas Golden Knights entering the third period. Evgeny Dadonov scores the overtime winning goal And I do know the top, r/hockey on Reddit always has their meme Monday. And the person who won today was correct. It's the meme of Moe from The Simpsons throwing Barney out the front door and he just appears back behind. Anyway. Like, that is the Evgeny Dodonov situation where he's just like, I'm still here. I'm still here. And it's honestly a pretty damn good thing that he's still there, because he might just give that team enough momentum to kind of make it to where they want to go.
Definitely. I think it's the biggest, I want to call it buyer's remorse, because it's like, we fucked up so bad that if we got this deal right, we would have fucked up even worse. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I do believe they were able to take Alex Martinez off of waivers, or not waivers, LTIR. God, imagine Alex Martinez on waivers. That would be ridiculous.
Oh, boy. LTIR.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy. Franklin learns about cap circumvention. That's my favorite fucking meme, where it's just like a picture of Franklin the Turtle. If you guys aren't aware of it. Franklin the Turtle, the kid's like child book character, sitting on the bed, and it's like Franklin learns how to circumvent cap via LTIR, and it's the greatest meme. Greatest.
Other random stuff. Screw it. Let's talk about the Leafs really quickly. They lost to the Habs on Saturday. There was the Paul Byron moment, but they did beat the Florida Panthers on Sunday. Basically, they have a good record against good teams and a bad record against bad teams. But Austin Matthews scored his 48th of the season, and Mitch Marner became the 15th player in Leafs history to record 300 assists, and is the fastest to do it in 411 games, passing the mark of 469, previously set by Borja Salming.
Let's trade him.
My takeaway, that's the thing. My takeaway from the Leafs weekend, first and foremost, the loss to the Habs, just kind of unfortunate. You got goalied, basically. They beat the Panthers, which is hilarious. Matthews is unbelievable, and everybody should apologize to Mitch Marner.
Yeah, now it's trade Nylander. I'm surprised it's not trade JT.
What do you mean it's trade Nylander? It's trade Nylander again.
Yeah, it's just... It's like every boomer in this godforsaken city, and I'm going to say it, they just love to get rid of, to put William Nylander on the spotlight because of him holding out for his contract and getting paid. Meanwhile, he has probably the best value of a contract on that franchise right now, even if Austin Matthews is scoring crazy shit ton of goals. Like, it makes no sense to me why you want to ship away William Nylander when he's doing a lot better than he has done before. Like, you guys need to calm down and go back to eating your fucking Quaker Oats in the morning while you yell at your wife. Come on.
Have some rice cakes, you fuck. Shut up. We talked about the Leafs, so we'll mention the Bruins real quick, too. Obviously, again, they're playing right now. Peter Mrazek's in goal, so hopefully another win for the Bruins, who are 14-2-1 in their last 17 games. The Bruins are crushing it lately. Yeah, I know. Mrazek looked decent over the in the Panther game, right? If I'm not mistaken, in the game before that. I think it was the
Panther game.
And Colin Blackwell just scored, so fuck me.
Yeah! Good luck. Colin Blackwell, the feistiest 5'9" player that the Toronto Maple Leafs have ever seen, because he was throwing around his body like crazy when I went to go see him at the Next Generation game. Oh my god, it was ridiculous. Just flying around there like a fucking pinball. Colin Pinball Blackwell? Works.
To cheer me up, Chicago was up 4-0 on Buffalo on the weekend and lost 6-5. Get a new owner. The New York Rangers needed to shout out Frankie Vatrano, had 2 goals in 18 seconds against the Sabres. Damn. He's fitting in pretty well there. And Chris Kreider is apparently on pace for about 56 goals.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to explain how the hell Chris Kreider is having the season he's having. This is ridiculous. Like, Matthews on pace for 60.
His overall. I can't wait to see it.
Dude, he's already like a 91 or a 92 on my custom rosters. He has to be.
Man,
he's
you know what's
ridiculous.
You know
hey, David Pasternak just scored. We're tied at 1.
God damn
hooray.
It.
Let's date this podcast.
Peter, we gave you 2 games. We put you on waivers. This is what you do to me. You come to me on the day of my daughter's wedding, and this is what you do to me. Come on.
Oh, God. Well, let's also mention the Calgary Flames beating the Edmonton Oilers 9-5 on the weekend. All 9 goals for the Flames to even strength. Johnny Gaudreau had 5 assists. Leon Draisaitl became the first player to have a hat trick and a plus-minus of -4 or worse in the same game since John Anderson did so for the Leafs back in January of 1983.
Hey, listen, I wasn't around for that. I can't feel that bad.
Mm-hmm.
But that's still
The
bad.
Flames have... God, dude, the Flames have 4 30-goal scorers this season. Last time they did that was 93-94. Of course, those 4 this season are Lindholm, Tkachuk, Gaudreau, and Mangiapane.
Nice.
Yeah, the Flames, I mean, you could sit there and say, oh, but they allowed 5 goals, but they ripped them apart offensively. Like, my God, did the Oilers look like shit.
Yeah.
Especially trying to defend the rush. I still have some confidence in the Flames despite a rough performance. I have no confidence whatsoever in the Edmonton Oilers come playoff time. 0.
Yeah, I take back the comments that I said last time when we were talking about the oh, you think Edmonton's gonna do well? Yeah, after this game, no. You kidding me? Like it still feels like it's no matter what they do, it feels like it's the McDavid Draisaitl show. They're gonna have to get rid of some of that talent over there around them, or I'm surprised if next season McDavid isn't asked to leave because what do you do?
You know what you do? You get Evander Kane, and he takes 4 penalties in less than 8 minutes against the Arizona Coyotes. How is that possible? It's literally the Moe and Barney meme from The Simpsons, where the penalty box attendant throws Evander Kane out and he's right back in behind him. Oh, it's fucking perfect. Oh, God. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
You can take a Kane out of San Jose, but you can't take the San Jose out of Kane.
Couple other quick things to mention here as we wrap up this show. I still can't feel parts of my face. It's great.
That's good.
Elias Patterson scored his 20th of the season for the Canucks. He became the first player from that 2017 draft class to record 200 points in his career. Nico Hischier at 193, so 7 points shy. Cale Makar, Robert Thomas, Nick Suzuki round out the top 5. So shows how dominant Elias Pettersson was super early on because a lot of the hype around him has kind of died off in the past season or two.
Yeah, I mean, that team in general has kind of struggled. So, do you blame it on just the team trying to find its, bearings, or is it just, a player being overhyped or underperforming itself? Makes you think.
Oh, my God. Did Peter Mrazek... Oh, Peter Mrazek just got hurt. Oh, no.
No! No! What do you mean?
We should record every podcast during a Bruins-Leafs game.
What do you mean? What do you mean he just got hurt?
Uh-huh.
Where did he get hurt? In his heart?
I don't know. Yeah, your heart's hurt.
Oh, fuck.
Here comes Eric Shalgren and uncertainty around Peter Mrazek, who is hopefully okay. That sucks. As much of a meme as it is to talk about his struggles, you don't like to see anybody get hurt.
Okay, what exactly happened?
I don't know. Even people on Twitter are like, what the hell happened?
Did he just and live tweet from Steve Dango, absolute unending nightmare of a season for Mrazek. How do you not feel for him? All the comments just, wow, good God, you just got to feel for him. The way he ran, I think he needs the shit. Oh my God, what the fuck? Oh, cool, the goalie's hurt. Let's see if Chicklets has anything of all people.
I don't know. We'll see what happens. And again, hopefully we don't have to talk about an injury. Last thing I did want to talk about though was the injury to the Detroit Red Wings as they lost to Pittsburgh 11-2. The Penguins became the first team to score 11 goals in a single game in the salary cap era and the first team to do it since the 2003 Washington Capitals, which is shocking because the 2003 Washington Capitals sucked ass.
Yep.
I mean, just that era of the Caps. Well, actually, you know what? The 02-03 team was decent. I think that was the team to do it. But it was a squad led. I mean, Yager was still there. Okay, it was the year after because I think Yager left that they ended up falling off a cliff. They actually had a decent team at that point. And I believe in that game, Evgeny Malkin, it might have been the game after, tied Sergei Fedorov for the most assists in NHL history by a Russian-born player. Obviously, Gino, Hall of Fame bound at the end of his career. But for Detroit, they became the first team since 1995-96 to allow 10 goals twice in the same season. The three most recent 10-goal against games were all against Detroit, including, again, 2 of them this year. And they have had games this season where they have given up 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 goals against. Did you watch the game? Did you watch the highlights? They got pooped on. I do not understand how they don't fire Blashill, because you can be bad. Sens fans know this. Sabres fans know this.
Leaf fans
but you at least need the team. You at least need the team to try. I mean, Jesus, like, how do you get pooped on that badly?
I have no idea. Like, I watched the highlights and it was just completely dominant. They put in fucking Calvin Pickard in, and he looked out of place. Like, he just was not there positionally at all. Like, I was watching I'll watch games and highlights just to watch like goalie breakdowns and see like where the angling could have been or how to get better. And he was just all over the place. Like, we talked about Peter Mrazek, God bless your soul, but about how he's like, he can't find the post, but he couldn't find the crease. Like, crosses around, like it looked like his pads were on too tight, and it was too stiff and tight, so he had limited movement in his skates and his legs. Like, I don't know what else like I can say about that. He did not look comfortable, and that whole team just fell apart.
So, an interesting weekend in the hockey world. We will look to wrap things up here. A bit of a shorter show, but again, when I can't feel my face, there's only so much I can do. It's been almost 3 hours since I got out of the damn chair and I can't feel my face. Shit sucks. Well, we're both going to go watch some hockey, but Endo, before you do that, tell the people, what are you up to lately?
I'm streaming every day. Typically, it's now it's early mornings and maybe afternoons. You try to get 1 stream a day, either 2 streams. So I have some more content to fuel over to the YouTube side of things, which hopefully is going to be coming in April. I've been putting it off so much, it's ridiculous. I do have new merch as well on my website, endomills.ca. You can also find me on Twitch, endomills, and all that. I appreciate everyone for giving me up to 666, the creepy devil number of follows. And it's only up from here, so that's where you can check me out.
There you go. And again, everybody, for those that gave to charity this past weekend, I thank you all very much. I've run 3 charity streams on Twitch, and we've raised $20,000 over the course of 3 different charity streams. That's fucking crazy for what we've based what we do off of. So a gigantic thank you there. Still streaming every night, at least into April. Again, eventually there'll be a vacation there, but baseball's out on Friday. Until then, it's a bunch of Fortnite and F1, baby. It's been a fun time. Endo, good luck to the Leafs. I'll talk to you later tonight. We'll see everybody this Friday with Mr. Sin for the win back here with us. Good night, everybody.
Peace.